There we go. Now everyone can hear me. How's it going, everyone? How are y'all doing today on this way too humid Thursday? I mean, come on. Seriously. It's summer. We need to end this freaking humidity. It's too much. It's just too much. I can take 110-degree heat, but no, not this. It's way too much. So yeah, I mean, as you can all see, it's me again. Unfortunately, not Mary. We're still awaiting answers. So until we get them, you'll just have to, you'll just have to suffer through with me. So, all right. How's everyone doing today? I'm gonna say, I suppose we should probably even check see if anybody's even in the chat. Jeff T. Barnes. Come on. Yeah, well, I was ready for it to be the weekend. Until basically there's a potentiality that I may have to self quarantine and get a test. So that's going to be less than fun. So I'm awaiting results. If those results are positive, well, then obviously I get a self quarantine. That's no fun. Not my results, somebody else's. If they're negative, then I get to actually go home for a few days and see my family that I haven't seen in a few good months. But unless we get results, I can't even chance that. So fun time. So my weekend looks to be about to be filled full of work. So that's always really good. All right, does it sound good? I mean, is the audio quality all right? All right. Just gonna text everyone else. Usually they're here. Okay, that's great. Thank you. There we go. Okay, cool. So I guess we'll do the fun thing. We'll ring us in, and then we'll get to going. Nice. Okay, so as you can probably discern from the title, we're making apple pies today. Now, if you've ever made an apple pie before, you know that we're really not going to be able to get an entire apple pie done in our usual about 2 hour time frame. So, in order to speed things up, I pre-made some stuff. I have a full pie ready to go. So we're going to skip the waiting steps. So I'm basically just going to show you the filling, the crust, the topping, all that, and then we'll actually eat a piece of pie that I've already made. Because I don't think anybody wants to see me struggle to make conversation for 4.5 hours. I certainly don't want to try because I'm boring. I'm definitely boring. I need to be doing something other than standing in front of a counter. All right. So our first order of business is we are going to need to get 4 pounds of some sort of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like crisp apple, Braeburns, Pink Ladies, an apple that's really, really crunchy because we want it to have texture after we bake it. If we get a really soft apple to start, then it bakes down and it gets even more soft. And at that point, your pie just becomes kind of mush. So we don't want that. So we want to start with a firm apple. Normally, I get Braeburns, which are a little bit like Honey Crisps, but they're nowhere near as sweet. They're as crunchy, if not a little more crunchy. but they are way better for baking in my opinion because you can always add sweetness, whereas Honeycrisp has all that sugar already in it, and that's what makes it great for a lot of people. But I just I don't want to deal with it. I'm not a big fan of all that sugar usually. Okay, I'm gonna adjust this real quick instead of blinding myself. There we go, that's a little better. Okay, so yeah, so we need 4 pounds of apples. That comes out to about 8 large apples. I have no idea how many small apples it is. It just, for the 3 separate pies that I've made today, well, this one will be the third, they've each taken exactly 8 apples out of this bunch. So I don't know if that was done intentionally by the distributors, where they basically picked out anything around half a pound and sold it in a specific bin, and I just got lucky and grabbed it, or what the deal is. But I'm not complaining. It's making it easy. The bigger the apple, really, the less we have to, and that's choppy. Why is that choppy? Why is that choppy? But regardless, the bigger the apple, the less we actually have to peel, which just means less time spent. So we'll get started. Okay. You're usually going to want to remove the sticker unless you're like me and you just eat them. The stickers are always, they're food grade, strangely enough. You can eat the stickers. They're not going to harm you. But most people still remove them anyway. They're not exactly great for bacon anyway. And the stem, that just helps everything out here. So actually, what I should do first is wash my hands. Because we're in that time, aren't we? I mean, has anybody in the chat made pies before? Made an apple pie before? I mean, if you have, then tell me about it, but you also know just how kind of grindy this process is. I mean, it's worth it in the end. It's always worth it in the end. But it just seems like there's a ton of effort that goes into it. All right, so hands are washed. Okay, cool. Okay, that. And I wish I had a more fancy apple cutter, but well, that's all the requirement there is for today. Just eat the apples. Eat the apple pie. If I could send you some, I absolutely would. But yeah. I honestly thought about pre-cutting the majority of these, but I didn't really want to like speed run the apple pie process. So, I don't know. I probably could have peeled a couple of them ahead of time. I mean, considering we're going to be putting them into a pie and we're going to be baking them, we're really not concerned about the apples browning. So, I mean, they can turn brown as long as they're still crunchy. That's what we care about. We want that texture. The looks are a little less important in this. So where was the best apple pie you've ever eaten? I mean, somebody's usually got a roadside diner story of just this most amazing apple pie that they've eaten somewhere in America. I honestly don't have one, sadly. Well, I mean, I keep eating my own apple pie, so I mean, I don't need to go to diners. There's no reason to. Why buy it for $5 when you can make the whole damn thing for 15? Well, buy a slice, I should say. That would be a terrible idea to buy a pie for $5, or to not buy a pie for $5 and then make it for 15. All that extra work just to pay more. That actually sounds like a ton of DIY projects people do. But they say it's the journey. Eh. Hey, Mary, how are you? Yeah. They still haven't given you any word? That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Honestly, if you can, in the mornings I would do like just some general exercise like running in place, jumping jacks. Just get that heart racing a little bit. I mean that'll make you a lot less tired because you're just sitting around doing nothing all day. Your body just kind of gets used to not doing anything and then it gets tired real easy. So forcing yourself to exercise a little bit will be really good for you. See, that's bullshit. Like, I don't get it. How in the world could it take 10 days? Like, what's the point if it could take up to 10 days? Just force everyone to go into isolation because the likelihood is, at that point, they're already going to be over the illness if they suspect they're infected. Sheesh. That's good. Walks are always good. I mean, maybe not at noon like what I've been doing, but, evening walks, those are good. I mean, I could probably also walk early in the morning, but I'm literally too lazy to get up that early. Even if I wake up at 7 in the morning, I'm just going to lounge in my bed for 2 hours. It's bad. It's really bad. So before you showed up, I was asking Sea Barnes whether or not they'd where the best apple pie they'd ever eaten was, but you kind of interrupted that. So I mean, you got anything to add on that? Like you had some roadside apple pie that was just incredible before. Oh, no worries. Seems like everyone's Wi-Fi is crapping out nowadays. It's just they never designed the system to have this kind of load. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know, Mary. You're from Florida. They grow a lot of apples down there, don't they? I mean, I imagine they do. It's a reasonably temperate climate. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, everything's always great at the state fair. I mean, you get to eat unhealthy for 8 hours straight. Just literally nothing but butter and deep frying everything. Oh, God. That's the days. It's the only reason I go to the fair. Oh. Well, I need to go to Washington then. I need to get my hands on some really good bacon apples. I mean, the gallows that I have here in my hands, they're okay. But I need something that's even crisper. I want to be able to bite into the apple pie and still have it crunch ever so slightly. I just don't think I'm going to get that with Gallus. I barely get that with Braeburns. Oh yeah. Exciting stuff on stream so far today. Super exciting. Oh You don't have to remove the peels. Although it is recommended, as the peels don't tend to lose like their chew when you cook them, so you'd have to cut like pieces with the peels fairly small in order not to like kind of have them get into your teeth. It's like the flesh kind of softens up quite a bit, but the peel kind of holds its shape, but it's not crunchy. Like, I don't know, it's kind of stringy, and that's really not something you want in your pie. But I mean, if you were to kind of put it on like a long, slow bake, probably, I don't know how you would do it, but I imagine you absolutely could just keep it in there as long as you kept it low and slow and let it actually, you know, reduce down. Short answer, yes. Long answer, not necessarily. Okay, one more apple. Just one. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I tried it once and I wasn't a fan of it. So that's why I don't. But yeah, I mean, it's probably for each and every person. I suppose what you could do is you could pre-cook the apples before you put them into the pie, and you could kind of loosen up the skin that way, kind of like a baked apple, where you get that skin nice and soft and you're able to eat it really simply. But I mean, that's you couldn't. I don't think you could get that kind of steaming action inside the apple pie itself, and not in, at least not with the quantity of apple you want to put in there. Yeah, this is just my recipe. You can completely change it however you like. Remember, nothing about the recipes that I have here are set in stone. You can change anything you like. Literally anything you like. And it probably won't hurt it. Cool. Nice. Okay. Awesome. So now we get to have the fun bit of coring. Now, yeah, coring is actually really simple on these. Oh yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. I was just, yeah, I mean, you can literally, like I said, you can change it up however you want. It won't hurt my feelings in the slightest. And in fact, I think when I made my tart the last stream, that's what I told you. I told you to just change it up however you feel like it. Because you can, because that's what I did. All right, so for the apples here, once we've got them peeled, we're going to cut them in half, and we're just going to basically do a couple diagonal cuts to basically remove the seeds. Now, we're not trying to remove everything. I don't know if you can really see that, but you can see that like the seed cavity is still in there. We're not worried about that. That, when it bakes, it's a little tough, but it'll soften right up, and it'll actually get really nice. So we're not worried about that in the slightest, keeping that there. So we'll do it to both sides. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take our half here. We're just going to chop them into reasonably small slices. We're just going to get that. And honestly, you can cut these thicker, you can cut them thinner, just as long as they're reasonably uniform. You don't want like big honking chunks, but also you don't need to have paper thin. The bigger they are, the less they're going to cook down, which means probably a bit more crunch to them. But that also might mean that you have kind of like uncooked apple in the center of your pie. So don't necessarily want that. Although one of these days I'll have to try that and see if it doesn't make it better. Honestly, it could for all I know. I've just never done that. Awesome. And we're not worried about the size of these pieces, so like these right here, we're not worried about this. Those will fit just fine in our apple pie. Plus, when we mess with these things a bit more, they'll break down some, so we'll get smaller pieces as well that'll kind of fill in the gaps. So yeah, honestly, the apple pie is a quite forgiving recipe. And honestly, let's see. So for this, I guess I forgot to mention this earlier. You're going to want to be using a 9-inch pie plate, preferably one that actually has a lip on the outside. This one that I have here doesn't. The one I made earlier does, so you'll see the difference. Having a lip just means that you can apply the top pastry so much easier and get it connected than with this really thin lip, because you've got barely anything to work with. It also just makes getting that lip to stay attached harder, which you'll see. I mean, there's no getting around it. You'll see what I'm talking about on that a little bit later, especially with the gluten-free flour. And yeah, so I mean, also as you see here, I'm not like removing all of the skin. There is bits of skin still in there, so I mean, honestly, I never noticed those pieces, so maybe I could just leave the whole thing in there. So does anyone have any big plans for this upcoming weekend? I mean, I think you might have already asked me that, though. Oh, you said you're ready for it to be the weekend. I guess I never did ask why you were ready for it to be the weekend. Just general weekend things. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, that would be cool, Harry. I think we'd like to have you back around here, but you know, just gotta keep yourself safe. I get you. Oh, I'm not concerned about how I'm doing it here. I'm just running out of recipes. My repertoire of known recipes is a lot smaller than everyone thinks it is. Yeah, that might be the thing. Somebody did send me a recipe for it. Looked like a blueberry like sort of cake, but it was more. I'm not entirely sure what it was called, but I mean it turned the entire dough purple. So I mean that looks extremely fun to make. I'm just worried about how many blueberries there are in that. They're not exactly cheap. just gonna do the rest of these. I mean, Mary, you got any? I mean, y'all have any suggestions? Any kind of recipes y'all want to see me do? You know, I probably could use frozen blueberries. That is a good point. Hey, all right, cool. Done with that. All right. I mean, as long as they're flash frozen, there should be no loss of flavor. Maybe a loss of texture due to the ice breaking down the bonds in the fruit, but yeah, I mean, buying frozen versus buying fresh shouldn't, at least if you buy the right stuff, shouldn't be a loss of flavor. Oh, that's a good idea. Pumpkin bread, I like that. Mary, how are your zucchinis coming along? You got any for me? Alrighty. I don't want to do a squash bread. Zucchini. Zucchini bread's the way to go. Or pumpkin bread. I suppose I could even do a banana bread, but I'd have to do like a banana nut bread, because banana bread on its own is just kind of, it's almost a little bit like weirdly sweet and like blasé. Okay, cool. So yeah, now once we've cut up all of our apples into slices, we're gonna have to put a combination of things on here to draw out the moisture, because we don't want all that moisture to come out while it's baking. So I will throw that together real quick here. Set these to the side. Get my bowl. Okay, so I'm going to, why? I'm just going to do something real quick. That didn't seem to do much at all. What the heck? Why you gotta be frustrating? Nothing else should be... Yeah, nothing else should be on here. I don't know. Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, great. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, so for our apple coating, we're gonna use 1/3 of a cup packed of brown sugar. We're gonna want 1/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. We're going to want 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. We're going to want 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom, or that was the allspice, and, well, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom. We're going to mix that all together real quickly, just so the powders don't get everywhere when I have to mix in the wet. Okay, awesome. And then to that, oh, my bad. And, you know, a decent small handful of salt. I think it says 1/4 teaspoon. I've never measured salt in my life. I don't know why. I feel like one of these days that's going to bite me in the ass, but, you know, not today. All right. And then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Mix this around. I do love the Craigasm emote. Just never quite used enough. Alright, we're going to end up getting this kind of, for the amount of liquid that's put in here, we're going to get a really almost like soupy, I don't know if y'all can really tell all that well, but yeah, an almost soupy mixture here. And this is going to help draw out all of the moisture out of these apples. So we're going to want to pour it all right in. Oh no, that's unfortunate. I'm going to pour it all in here. And like I told you last week, I mean, about the number one thing of baking besides eating, getting your hands dirty. Baking requires you to get your hands in there all the damn time. So worth it every time, too. And always clean as you go if you can. Seriously, clean as you go. My God, that makes your life so much easier. I wouldn't know. I'm not having any issues on the upload. So I'm not entirely sure why Twitch would be having you refresh the pages. That's really strange. I'm sorry. All right. So we want to coat these all nice and properly. Yeah. Oh, don't I know. So yeah, we'll get in there. We're just gonna mix up. What we're also gonna do while we're mixing up here is we're gonna take any clumps of apples that we have together here. We're gonna break them all apart because we want to get a nice coating on every surface of the apple that we can, because we want to draw out as much moisture as is physically possible. Because the more moisture we pull out, yikes, the better it'll bake. But also that means more of a syrupy goodness we get to pour right back on top before we chuck it into the oven. And you'll see what I'm talking about in, about 20 minutes or so. Yes, the apples deserved it. Absolutely. Yeah, this is another reason why you don't need to worry too much about like the size of the apple. Because as I'm going through here, you'll see plenty of these apple chunks are just breaking in half. And so we'll get those smaller pieces we need to fill in the cracks without any issue at all. Okay, cool. Once you got it good and coated, we now get to set this aside for roughly an hour and a half. So, I mean, unfortunately, we can't wait an hour and a half. So we're going to have to stick these aside, and I've already got a pre-made bowl of apples done. Those actually went for 2 hours. There's really no limitation on how long you can let them sit, but I wouldn't let them sit overnight. They start to lose their freshness and their crispness. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can... I don't know if you could hear that or not, but yeah, you'll lose that. There's just a little snap there. So if it sits too long, you lose that snap, and you definitely don't want that. So we'll stick this in the fridge for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay. Now, while those are chilling and, what am I trying to say here? Chilling and having the moisture sucked out of them, we're going to make the dough. I have honestly no idea if the lemon juice counteracts that. No. Let me show you real quick here. So the lemon juice, I assume, is likely there to prevent oxidation. But I mean, as you can see on the ones I made earlier, there's not a whole lot of browning. But I mean, you also can't tell that they've browned too much because we already covered them in literally a brown liquid. So, just kind of how it goes. But to be honest, I have no idea whether or not the I think the lemon juice prevents it from browning, but it doesn't prevent the moisture loss. Because that's what the salt and the sugar do. The salt and the sugar will actually draw the liquid out of the fruit. And I assume the lemon juice is there to counteract browning. But, I don't know. I'm not a food chemistry major. I couldn't tell you the specifics. I just know it works. So, I'm not complaining. Okay, so we're going to make our top and bottom crust now. Very simple to put together here. Once again, I'm using gluten-free flour because that's just who needs it around here. I've got neighbors who want to eat it, so I have to kind of make it a special way. A lot of work. But I would recommend, if you're not gluten, or if you're not celiac or gluten intolerant, I would recommend you do not use gluten-free flour for pie crusts. One of the things, literally in the title, gluten, is what makes pie crusts hold together so well. And since it isn't gluten-free, so when you make breads, all that like stretchiness to the bread, yeah, so the gluten is the stretchiness in the bread, and so that's what makes it kind of hold together. So that's what makes your pie crust, when you put them in the bowl, they don't immediately fall apart. Unfortunately, we're using gluten-free stuff. So they put what's called xanthan gum in here in order to counteract that, but it isn't nearly as good as the real-life replica. So it does an okay job, but it does, well, a terrible job in comparison. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know the analogy for it. It's like getting $5 instead of $20 for breakfast. I mean, $5 will get you breakfast, but $20 gets you a way better breakfast. Who knows? I don't know. I'm terrible at analogies. Okay, so we're gonna put it's witchcraft. Yes, gluten is witchcraft. Burn the bread. Always burn the bread. I mean, seriously, it brings out some flavor. So burn the bread, why not? Okay, so I need 3.5 cups of flour. I'm trying not to pack it in. Oh. I mean, another real downside of gluten-free is that it's just so expensive in comparison to just standard flour. So, I mean, if you don't have to, don't. Okay, that's 3.5. Okay, good. That should be enough for me to coat my rollouts. Okay. Once again, I think it's supposed to be like a 1/4 tablespoon of salt. That's way more. I really don't care. Let's see, what else? I mean, that's literally all of our dry ingredients, actually. Next, we'll need 2.5 sticks of butter. The gluten-free recipe that I have posted here tells you only to have 2 sticks of butter and 3 cups of flour. Now, I was having difficulty rolling out that amount of, like, I wasn't having good results, let's put it that way. So I increased my mix to 3.5 cups of flour and 3 sticks of butter, and I ran into the problem of literally having too much butter. So I've counteracted it back down to 2.5 sticks. And that seems to be a reasonably happy middle ground where I'm not running into, you know, butter clumps while I'm trying to roll out the dough, but I'm also not having a super dried out crust. Because honestly, it's really weird. Like I told you with the cupcakes, it seems like the gluten-free flour just doesn't absorb the moisture well enough, and so it tends to lose it instead of trapping inside and like baking with it. So it seems to be that's the same kind of issue I have here. But I'd rather not I'd rather not throw any additional flours into this just in case it bakes weirdly. So I've just been trying to perfect like the actual quantities. I don't want to do this yet. So yeah, so we're going to cut up our butter into probably, if you can get it, 1/2-inch squares. And you want to use chilled butter. I made the mistake once of using semi-warm butter. Not only was that a literal nightmare to cook with, like to mess with in here, it just squishes everywhere and it does not mix into the flour super well. It also makes rolling it out a freaking nightmare. Because, I mean, at that point, like I said, it doesn't work its way into the flour very well. So you end up with just pockets of butter, which honestly in baking, that's never a bad thing necessarily. Just makes it really hard to work with. So yeah. So we'll be doing this one. Like so last week when we made the tart crust, I left that kind of chunky in the butter because we weren't trying to roll it out, and I could get those nice like buttery pockets for flavor. Oh yeah. But this week we are definitely not going to be doing that. We're going to be trying to incorporate the butter extremely well. Now there will still be small pockets of butter, and honestly that just makes for really good tasting crust. But we don't want it nearly as much as what we had last week. Last week you could literally see chunks of butter. This week we do not want to see that. Alrighty. Now, when you use non-gluten-free flour, you're not going to have that problem. Just go as the recipe directs, and it's going to come out real well. That gluten's going to make your crust bind together real well, so you're not going to have to worry about trying to get like the butter level right so your crust isn't dry, but it also isn't too wet so you can't roll it out. Just regular flours, you're not going to have that issue. So just follow the recipe on that one. It'll come out great. The only reason we're doing anything special is, well, we got to use some special flour. Oh, man, I mean, do you ever need context for butter? Just appreciate it. It's butter. That's all you ever need to know. Yeah, I mean, you should probably have some cat tax going on in the chat there. Alrighty, that's the butter. And then our last ingredient here is we're going to put, let me clean this up real quick. We're going to put between 8 to 12 tablespoons of milk in here. So we're going to use almond milk because we're keeping with the vegan theme. I mean, if you saw the stream last week, you know we use a plant butter instead of actual butter, and it works extremely well, surprisingly. So we'll keep doing that. What is? I am going to be using roughly 10-ish tablespoons, or about, I don't know, like a half cup and then another half a quarter cup of almond milk here. Wonderful. No butter, so here's some cheese. I like it. But I mean, that's probably some stinky cheese. It's got some lines on it. But, I mean, stinky cheese is never a bad thing. All right. And just like the filling for the apple pie earlier, we're going to dig right in. We're just going to get in there and start mushing our flour and our butter together. Seriously, bake. if only to do this. This is the most satisfying part of anything when you're baking. Just getting your hands in that dough. Oh, it's super worth it. It's so satisfying. I mean, never is always an exaggeration, but you got to take it as you know, or use it in context. What? You don't like blue cheese? You're not a fan of some stinky blue cheese? Got to work on that iron stomach. If you can't stand some stinky blue cheese, the rest of it. Oh, that's just going to be unfortunate down the road. Then again, I don't know. I smelled some horrible things in college, and stinky blue cheese has never come close to it. So maybe I'm just a little biased. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I can get you on that. All the other cheeses, not super great. Okay. Okay, so I mean, like I'm still finding butter pockets here, so I'm going to try and work those in. Because I seriously don't want to have large butter pockets still. I mean, I guess I can't really show you like that there's large chunks in here, but I mean, this isn't chunks of butter. This is just where the moisture is keeping all the dough put together. Oh yeah, it is good. It should work. Ah, crap. Oh well, I'll fix that in a minute. Okay, awesome. I think we're good. Now, like I said earlier, you're not going to get around, there's still going to be little pockets of butter in here. So we're not going to be able to get around, like when we're rolling it out, we're going to have small pockets of butter come through and kind of mess with our rolling pin and such. So we're just going to have to keep applying flour and keep rolling it out until it works. There we go. We're not doing so bad. Okay, cool. That's not actually bad at all. I mean, yeah, there's a little butter here and there. It's unfortunate, but just kind of how it goes. Okay, cool. So now you've got your big old dough ball here. We actually want to let this sit, and we want to let it sit for at least an hour. Now there's almost no minimum time frame in which you can actually make this ahead of time. You can make it a day ahead of time, and it'll be fine. Just wrap it in plastic wrap. I know Mary hates that. What in the world? Okay. Apparently the pause button on the stream that I had up doesn't actually work anymore. That's weird. Just randomly started playing. Regardless. Yeah, so you can make that, you can make it a day ahead of time. You can freeze that for a good month without any issue. So you can make tons of dough ahead of time and then just have dough ready to go. Okay, I've actually got some dough already. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna unwrap this bad boy. This has been sitting in the fridge for about 2 hours now. Good and solid. So I'll put this one in that plastic wrap we just used. roll it up, and then it'll be ready for the pie I have to make after the stream. I'm going to try not to waste all these apples. Okay. So we're just going to let that warm up for just a minute, actually. So we're going to take our apples here that we've been letting soak out, or let all the juices extract from. We're going to take it, and we're going to try and remove all of the juices here without losing all of our apples here. Now, unfortunately, it's going to continue to lose moisture while it's sitting out, while we're working on this. And there's nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. We'll just have to deal with that when the time comes. But right now we're going to take all that juice that whisked out, we're going to put it into a saucepan. We're going to take some apple cider, unfiltered, filtered, whatever it is. And this doesn't have to be apple cider. You can literally put any fruit juice you want into this. And you can just change the flavor up that way. You want to put like a tart flavor in here, put some cranberry juice in there. Cranberry and apples sounds delicious to me, honestly. I didn't think to do that before I started working on these, so we'll just have to stick to the standard apple cider. So there's a cup and another half. Okay, and then the recipe actually calls for a vanilla bean pod. Now we're not going nearly as fancy as that. So we're just going to do some very standard vanilla, imitation vanilla flavoring because I'm cheap and it works. Perfect. So stick this on the oven and let it reduce down until you have roughly half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of liquid left. So this needs to reduce down by probably more than 60 or 70%. Even mango. Yeah, mango. I don't see what would be wrong with mango. Unless you know more about it than I do. It's possible. Is there something wrong with mango? Honestly, I'm half tempted to make an apple pie where I literally just put lime juice, honestly, instead of the apple cider. Honest, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for the next pie, actually. I'm going to try that out. Because I've always wanted like a sour apple pie. So if that will do that, that'll be amazing. So, awesome. Okay, cool. I mean, that didn't get any warmer. But now while we have our drizzle for the apple pie, so all that flavor that got leached out in the liquid, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce it down, we're going to make it into a syrup, and we're going to pour it over on top of it, but it's going to become really thick, so it'll cling to the apples and it won't become like a mess at the bottom. It'll just be pure, unadulterated flavor stuck to that apple. Oh, that's what makes it so good, is that right there. The apple cider just brings a little extra flavor to the table. All right, so time for that. And I need a different cutting board. Done with you. Okay, on to the big boy. Now, I'm not going to say that you need these, like these really thin, kind of flexible cutting sheets, or like one of these, maybe a glass one more like this, but smaller ones like this, so you're able to move things around easily. But when you're using the gluten-free pie crust, this stuff, like I said, doesn't hold together as well as a regular pie crust. You're not really able to move it around as well. So having something that you can slide underneath it and move it around with is really useful. Else you end up just kind of breaking up your crust and trying to fit it together in the pie pan, which works, but it's not nearly as fun. Okay, so we're going to cut this right down the center. Set half aside for later. Now we're just going to kind of roll this all together, get some flour going. Try and roll some flour into there, loosen it up a bit, and we're going to see if we can't get it to roll out nicely. Oh well, we'll have to see. Now you're going to see it's going to crack and break a lot, unfortunately. That I've never been able to fix. Maybe if I added more xanthan gum, which, like I said, is supposed to be the chemical equivalent of the gluten in this mix, I might be able to do something that gets me a lot closer to it, but I really don't want to add like straight chemical to the mix. Mary, you didn't miss a whole lot, just me spouting off about, random things. Not so bad. Okay. Okay, awesome. Smash this on down. Gotta pay attention to the kind of apple flavor reduction we have going over there, because that will try and boil over. Once it gets to the point where it's reduced far enough, it'll start kind of sticking to itself and it'll be able to make air pockets. So I don't honestly know. I assume it probably isn't. It might be like, I don't know, a chemical taken from a plant, but I don't think it's natural. Let's put it that way. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's try and roll this out some. I mean, as you can see here, we've got just a massive crack going there. All you can do is just kind of take it and try and fold it back in on itself. Okay, cool. So once I get a good amount of size to it, I'm going to really coat the top here. I'm going to get one of my flexible cutting boards. I'm going to slide it under, and I'm going to flip it. And so luckily actually for this right here, and this is what I was hoping to see by reducing down the butter content, is I'm not seeing any kind of like butter really peeking through. So now I've got a good amount of flour on the bottom side so it won't stick then. Coat the top side here nicely. Keep rolling it out. Actually, this is going really nicely. Okay, that's fantastic. Good. So I'm thinking the two and a half sticks of butter seems to be doing a fantastic job here. That's exactly what I needed it to be. Oh, okay. So xanthan gum is the name from the bacteria. Okay, cool. Is it technically naturally occurring, or is it like still lab made? I mean, not that I honestly care. I'll eat anything as long as it tastes good. I'm just curious. Okay, actually. Can I move this? Yes, nice. Okay. So, for a pie crust, we want it to be about 10 inches wide. So basically flip your pie plate over and just try and gauge whether or not it's got about an inch clearance on all sides. This doesn't quite yet, so we got to go just a little more. For most pies, you can get away with just having a 9-inch crust, but for any pie where you need a topper, you always want to try and get that extra inch out of it, because you're going to want to be able to connect the top and the bottom really well. Okay, beautiful. Okay. Awesome. Not even sticking. Hells yeah. This is going so much better than I was hoping it would. I can't complain in the slightest. Okay. Another reason why to have this is it just makes applying the the crust really simple. So if you've got the flexible ones, you can just kind of push it over right on into the pie plate. And it'll just sit in there real nicely. And actually, this is holding together so much better than I possibly could have hoped for. What changed? What literally changed from the last one I made earlier today was giving me fits of trouble. It just didn't like me in the slightest. But this one likes me to no end. I swear, it must be y'all. I don't know what it is, but the pie crust likes you guys. Didn't like me earlier. Oh, man, I am not complaining in the slightest. That is the simplest I've had on a gluten-free pie crust in a long time. Fantastic, thank you. Okay. Oh. Well, that's no fun. Indeed. Stream luck. I'll take it all day long. Okay, awesome. So we've now got our bottom crust here. We don't want to trim it yet. Maybe if we can get maybe if you've got some sides that are a little short, maybe try and press the sides in a little bit and just get a little overhang. That'll make it a lot easier for you later. But okay, so right now we're done. We can roll out the next one, but I really don't want to take my eyes off of this boiling mess. Well, I guess maybe I could. I probably still can, actually. Okay, cool. So I guess we'll do the next one. Just get it ready. But yeah, so we're waiting for that to reduce. Our apples are ready to go. We can stick those in the pie whenever. Or we've got our bottom crust ready. I gotta stop touching it because I'm gonna screw something up, and then I'm gonna be really disappointed in myself. I'm just gonna go over here. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so we're gonna get our next crust. This one we don't need to be as gentle with. This one's going on top, so it's gonna rest on top of some stuff, on top of all the apples. So it's not. You don't need to be nearly as delicate with it. So I'm not going to be. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I just wasn't delicate with the other stuff last time. But yeah. I mean, I guess now's a good time while I'm just working on dough. Does anybody have any questions about this? Does anybody have any comments? Maybe suggestions that I can alter before we stick this pie in the oven? Food color the dough. What color? Sky blue. I might have that. Okay, let me check. Okay, I've got my standard blue. That's gonna be lighter though. I have a neon blue. Let's see. Yeah, screw it. Let's just go for it. I can't guarantee you sky blue. What? There's literally nothing wrong with doing this. I'm gonna stain my hands, but honestly, I don't care about that. Alrighty. We don't have Twizzlers. We don't have the Twizzlers anymore. Those Twizzlers that we had in the cupboard, that were from like 2016, I threw those out a while ago because honestly, I was beginning to suspect they were becoming sentient. So yeah, let's have a little fun here. Would have been better to do this earlier, but you know. All right. Well, now my cutting board is blue. What do you mean? Of course it's gonna work. I mean, all we're doing is adding food coloring to dough. I mean, I feel like this wouldn't be an issue in the slightest. May have to add a little more to get to the sky blue color, but we're definitely getting there. I don't know if y'all can see, but it's definitely taking on a blue hue. And honestly, Mary, you may have put me onto something I've not really ever experimented with before because I've never needed to before. I've never really worked the dough this much, but honestly, it seems to be really, really, like, good. Like, this seems to be, like, super easy to work with right now. Like, I could probably roll it out and not have much of an issue in the slightest. So I'm really wondering if it wasn't just the xanthan gum needs to get worked in, and just nobody ever said a damn thing. You know, it may very well take a beating. Who knows? Okay, we're still good on that. I'm probably not going to add any more food coloring in here because there's already enough. But I mean, it's got one hell of a, like, you can see it's blue. Like, that is a nice blue color. I feel like likely this scenario is it's not not an issue on your end. It wouldn't surprise me if the network that you're you know getting off of is just getting overloaded, and so you're getting deprioritized, which really sucks. I don't know. Did they put a stay-at-home order in place, or did they do like an ordinance or something where you live that would maybe explain why people are getting on the internet more? Oh, that's fair then. All right. It ain't perfect, but we do have a really nice kind of like sky color blue. I don't know. Plus, you can. I mean, it's got some fun shit in there. Awesome. Cool. Now to cover it up slightly. Oh my God, that might be the secret. Mary, you might be a genius. Now, there's no might there. You are a genius. Just in this situation, though. Oh my God. I'm learning, people. No gluten-free pie crust recipe I have ever done has ever told me to overwork the dough. And this seems to have solved my friggin' problem incredibly well. Okay. Oh, come on. Ah, yes. Yeah. Just random fun. We're waiting on the, we're still waiting on the whole thing to reduce down over there. It's not quite there. I think we need to get it down another, yeah, another quarter cup or so. So yeah, we got plenty of time to do this. There's no reason not to. Honestly, I don't like that. Work it in. That was a bad idea. All right, that's fine. We'll be fine. Like I said, it's the top crust. It's got way more to work with. Do I have? Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll have to have a little fun with the top of this. Okay. All right. So we're just we're gonna set that aside. We're just waiting on that to finish boiling down. Yeah, we've got a couple minutes to just talk about anything. We can shoot the shit. Awesome. Very nice. All right, I guess I can clean up a little bit, but yeah. So, Mary, odd question for you. If it comes back and you're unable to do next week as well, do we want to try and actually start working on the Caribbean meals? Or do we want to continue having fun making blue doughs? Because I honestly, I'm down for either. I'm very happy making blue dough. We'll have to see. I've got another one. We'll get the appetizing one. So yeah. Tastes like dough. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, cool. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Nice. All right. That's a big if, and honestly, this is going to sound wrong, but I really do actually hope you have it. Because then at this point, you will have the antibodies and you'll at least have some protection for a while. I mean, it seems like you had a fairly mild case, so I imagine the antibodies won't stick like they say. But yeah, even just some protection for a while would be really good. So yeah, don't take it the wrong way, but I kind of do hope you have it. Plus, then I get to go get tested, and then I get a break from everything for a few weeks. Ooh, okay. All right, we're about there. Like I told you, this thing, I don't know if you can really see it well, but it really likes to bubble over when it gets right down to the bottom. Okay, how much do I have now? Alright, beautiful. Okay, awesome. So for a second there, we're going to take our reduced apple cider and apple juice mixture. We're going to take some tapioca flour, also known as tapioca starch. You can use cornstarch. The person that I'll also be sharing this with, they can't eat cornstarch, so tapioca flour is going to be used, but cornstarch works just fine. We're going to take a cup. We're going to put, I don't know, maybe a little more than a quarter cup of water in there. Oh, that's true. T-Barnes, you make a great point, yeah. Donating blood with the antibodies is probably fantastic. Okay, what did I do with my... What did I do? Alright, I'm at a loss for words what I do with this stuff. Oh well, I need a tablespoon thing. Okay, that's a half, this'll work. Okay, so I need to put 2 tablespoons of starch in this water. And you might be wondering why I'm not just adding it directly to the mixture over there. Well, these starches, they really have an aversion to heat, so when they hit something hot, they tend to clump together and make problems. It's kind of like that gravy. It's kind of like when you make packet gravy and you dump it into hot water, and then all of a sudden it just turns into this clumpy, gooey mess, and it's a problem. Same concept here. So we want to put it in cold water because it'll dissolve. It doesn't seem to have an issue with cold water. It'll dissolve out completely. Okay, awesome. So we're going to be adding this milk here to, well, this milk-looking substance to that. And then we're going to stir. And we're going to keep stirring. And as you can see, I don't know if you can kind of see it on the camera, but it's very much a liquid right now. But as we apply heat, that starch is going to start reacting with everything else and the heat, and it's going to start solidifying and creating essentially a big old heap of goo. But it's going to be one hell of a tasty goo. So honestly, the cornstarch is way quicker at this than the tapioca starch. Okay, yeah, that changed almost instantly. Okay, beautiful. Keep stirring, we don't want it to burn. But I don't know if you can tell, that's turned into just a literal gooey mess now. That's fantastic. That's all of our apple cider and our apple juices. Oh, and that cinnamon, all of that mixed down together into just a delicious paste. Alrighty, so we're going to take it and we're going to add it right on back to our apples. Now we're going to try and drain them a little more because, there has been a little more juice been extracted. Not a lot, but I mean that's just flavor we're losing. But we really don't want to pour just straight liquid into the pie pan or the pie. I can't help it. There's some losses. They're acceptable losses. That's all I can say. But yeah. Just a gooey mess. I love it. It's like pouring some just like jello, some loose jello, or I don't really know, like straight up just gelatin all over these apples. And we want it to be really sticky like that, because we want it to stick to the apples. We don't want it to fall down. Oh, hells yes. All right, that is good enough. Okay, now I'm gonna give this like 15 or 20 seconds, just kind of let off a bit more steam before I plunge my hand into what was literally boiling 1 minute ago. Oh yeah. Bone apples. Bone apple tea, yeah. You should go to that subreddit. You'll enjoy that one, Mary. Okay, cool. I mean, it's still exuding a lot of heat, but I mean, once you start mixing around in the cold apples, that heat starts to transfer really quickly. And it is slippery and slimy as hell. Oh, it's so good. Did any of y'all have slime, like literal slime in a container as a kid? I may have overdone this ever so slightly. It's not supposed to do this. I don't know if you can see that or not. I may have overdone it ever so slightly. I may have reduced it just a smidge too far, but it's okay. As long as we get it to coat the apples well. Yeah, I probably do need a taffy puller. Goodness gracious. I'll try and break it up a little bit. Move around a little bit. That slime stuff was the best. And not like that putty that you can make fart, but like literal slime. Oh, that stuff felt so terrible and yet so amazing at the same time. It's exactly like that. Okay, cool. Awesome. Now that we've got it really good and mixed around and we've got that slime-ish mixture. It shouldn't be slime, but I overdid it ever so slightly. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, beautiful. I'm not even complaining. Honestly, that's fun as hell. We can put that into our pie now. You could, yeah. There is no reason not to just eat the apples right now. Yeah. And we're likely going to have some apple left over, so I am going to be able to eat this straight up just like this. Oh, it's going to be so good. Typically, I find 4 pounds of apples is usually a bit more than I need. And yeah, so I mean, as you can kind of see here, right on that camera, we lost a piece there. So that's just the brittleness of the pie crust just not quite working in our favor. So it'll happen, not a big deal. Okay. So we want that in there. We want to mush it down in there. We want to get it into every crevice. We don't want to leave apples behind if we can help it. Okay, actually, it looks like I'm going to be able to get all of it in here. Maybe I won't get to eat any apple. Nope, not today. Not this time. But I also have a whole nother set of apple stuff in there that I just get to keep on working. Sweet. Okay, cool. Okay, wash my hands off again. Okay, so now this step is not going to be included in typical, I don't think this step is included in your typical pie recipes, because with a regular flour, you press the 2 pieces together and that the gluten bonds should kind of hold themselves together, but with this gluten-free stuff, you have to, you kind of have to create like a gooey substance. So what we have here is we have the flax cornmeal, and it's going to act like an egg. If you're not making this vegan, you can literally just use an egg. But since we are making it vegan, we're going to be using flaxseed meal here. This has been soaking for like 3 hours, and it is gooey as hell. So it's going to make a perfect binder that's going to hold the 2 pieces of pie crust together when I crimp it. And I'm just going to basically apply extremely liberally anywhere I'm going to try and pinch the pie crusts together. I mean, you can get it all over the apples if you want to. It's not going to hurt the flavor in the slightest. Okay, cool. Now we got that. I don't know. Mary, if I'm baking for myself, I don't know. How many times have I washed my hands technically in this this stream? 4 or 5? That number is probably going to be 4 or 5 less when I bake for myself. If I make it for everyone, don't worry. I do wash my hands, but if I'm just baking for myself, I just don't care to. Okay, so that's not gonna work. Got some goo out there. Oh my god, love it. Okay, cool. So it's kind of sticking to my my baking or my cutting board here. So we'll flip it real quick. There we go. Got a lovely blue color. There we go. Now that should slide off super nicely. Yeah, there we go. Slide it right over the top. Now we're just going to take our fingers and we're going to crimp it all along the edges. We're not going to worry about being super exact because, well, we can't be. Like I said, when we've got almost no lip here to work with, it makes it really difficult and really hard to, to properly get that crimp down. But this seems to have worked out quite well. Okay, so now we're going to take our knife, we're going to go around the edge, we're just going to trim it up, make it look nice. Okay. There we go. Okay. Do another set of crimps along the edge just to make sure we're good. Awesome. Now, I forgot to mention this earlier, but before we stick this in the oven, we do want to preheat the oven to 375. Now, you don't have to be super diligent about this. You can preheat it and then have it preheating while you stick it in there. It is in there for an hour and 45 minutes. So it's not going to be a huge deal if you don't preheat and it's not at the right temperature. But if we were only baking this for like 25 minutes, then it'd be a much bigger deal. But hour and 45 minutes, not a big deal in the slightest. Okay, so we want to cut some steam vents. Oh no, what have I done? You can cut whatever style you want. I have a very simple kind of like, I don't even know what to call it, but it works. Lets the steam out nicely. Okay, cool. And then this is ready to go in the oven. Okay, so one other thing, before you stick your pie in the oven, you really want to put down something to catch the juices. Something like a foil-covered baking sheet. This apple pie will drip juices no matter how tightly you've sealed it. There's just not getting a route. Oh, I just missed that. Look, I mean, I've been told all my life that the way I handle knives has been, uncomfortable to a lot of people. You just get used to it. What? I mean, doing this? Or this? Like, there's nothing wrong with holding a knife like this. I mean, as long as they're not trying to throw it, it's fine. It's like a tired nanny. I love it. Yep, okay, cool. Alright, perfect. I mean, I just burned my thumb, that really hurts. But yeah, so we'll stick it on there. I'm gonna lose it, my god. Get it in the oven before I kill myself. Holy jeez, that was almost bad. I didn't kill the pie. Okay, so this is gonna go in the oven for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, my god, he's got a mask. No, no. Okay, fine. I'm doing like surgery on him. Hold on. He's got there's something in his nose. Hold on. I need to get in there real deep. Come on. Got it.
Every time.
Joe, quit breaking my stuff.
Just kick it every single time.
Alrighty. Oh, actually, my thumb really hurts now. That's no good. So what I was saying before I was viciously attacked by a land shark. Your oven may be different. We have a pretty good oven. That's why we only need an hour and 45 minutes. The recipe recommends an hour and a half to an hour and to 2 hours. I would hesitate on the long side for that. Oh shit. Shit. I forgot something. I knew I was going to forget one thing. Okay, we want to butter the crust. What? Oh, don't tell me. No way! No way! That did not just happen. You've got to be shitting me. I just killed the microwave. It's the second one that died. What the heck? I'm very confused. What? Okay. Let me hit the reset again. No? Well, shit. Okay. I think you're right. I mean, I'll move it to a different outlet later, but okay, well, I was going to butter the top of this to help it brown a little bit and help it crisp up, but I kind of need to melt the butter somehow. And I don't really have a good way of doing that now. Well, I lie, I think I do. Alright, this may just take a minute. You know what, actually, it's probably good enough at room temperature. Just mush it down. It's going to be a thick butter coating. But yeah, you just want to put a coat of butter or even better egg. But since we don't have egg, we can't use egg in this recipe. Yeah. So we'll just butter this up. And this will crisp up real nicely. Wonderful. Okay. That'll work. Alright, so keep those few minutes back up. Okay, back to 144. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Baking is such a weird thing that people figured out how it would work. But yeah, also, with the microwave, I pulled the last one apart, and it didn't have any visible issues. So, I think I just had to figure out that there was either a specific wire in there that was either $8 or it was the, oh God, what is it called? I don't remember what it's called. The magnetron. There we go. And that's like $80 to fix in that microwave. It just wasn't worth it. But yeah, oh well. We'll just have to make do. Okay, cool. So that needs to bake. I guess I'll go get the other one. We'll cut into it and we'll take a look. Try not to burn my hands again. Sheesh. Yeah, baking does have such weird rules. I mean, whoever discovered baking soda and baking powder and thought, I'll throw that in flour and make it rise. I mean, well, I don't know. I guess baking soda makes sense. You throw some water in there, it bubbles up. That makes sense to throw that in something like a loaf of bread to artificially create air bubbles in it. But honestly, like baking soda, or I'm getting them confused, but you'll know what I mean. Yeah, that was weird. Yeast is just extremely weird. Okay. Awesome. Now, unfortunately, my pie has fallen just a little bit. Oh wow, that does not feel like 170. Okay. Okay, cool. Let me go get the other camera. We'll show you the pie. Alright, we're going to see if this wants to work this time or if it's going to have issues like it did last time. My money's on issues. Alright. Okay. Oh, okay. Actually, that's a really great view actually. Ah, cool. So there you can see the pie. Looks fantastic, actually. That's not the right camera, though. let me pull up the right one now. Well, may have to be that one. Not getting any other camera. Okay. Yes, indeed, baking is magic. Okay, cool. So I guess we'll stay on that for real quick. I'm gonna try and do something real quick here. Oh wait, that's why. Nope. ECM main. Oh, why is that not saved on this one? That's probably not right. There we go. Okay, cool. Now I can remember a password. Alrighty, let's try this one more time. Okay, well, it's there. Just a little choppy, but it's there. Okay, awesome. Oh, yeah. I mean, that just looks phenomenal. Okay, cool. I'm going to swap to the other camera real quick. Perfect. Keep that one going. Let's take a cut into this one. Still nice and warm. That pie crust is perfectly, like, it's not flaky, unfortunately. But I think that's another just, like, issue that comes with using the gluten-free. You just don't get it as flaky. And that's what I was trying to get with the extra butter. I was trying to create additional flakiness. But I just don't quite think it's there yet. I have to experiment some more. Yes. Awesome. Oh, goodness me. That's a lot of juice in there. That's way more juice than there should be in there. Okay, well, who knows. It happens. It's still good. Okay, awesome. There's that. There is no such thing as apple pie without vanilla ice cream. Yes, I know. This is just standard old vanilla ice cream. It isn't vegan. You're going to have to deal with it. You can go get your own vegan ice cream. In fact, we have some in the fridge right now. Yeah. It's almost perfect. Well, we're down an ice cream scoop. Lovely. Goodness gracious. Okay. Perfect. Goodness me. We never use that one anyway. This one, that's the good one. Okay. Okay. Little close up now, because we gotta. Oh yeah. I mean, that looks like really good crumbly crust. You can see the apples there. They still have all their shape. Oh, that's good. Beautiful. Back. There we go. Hey. Now for the taste test. Look, you can solve this very easily. Just move to Kansas. I'll get you pie. Okay. Okay. Now the moment of truth. Unfortunately, I was not able to solve my kind of, the crust is still a bit gritty. And so, that's going to detract away. Typical, it's definitely not the flaky. It's good, it's crumbly, but it's just not as good as your traditional, like, standard pie crust. So, I mean, 1 to 10 on difficulty to make. I mean, it's a 5-hour long process. From start to finish, from getting everything to having a pie made is 5 hours. So that alone, I'd say, makes it an 8 or a 9. The time intensity or just like the actual work to go into it isn't super difficult. It just takes a while. So yeah, like an 8.5, I guess, on the difficulty, just because it's super time consuming. Taste, the taste is, the apple is great. The apple is fantastic. It's good, it's soft. there's still, you can still hear it just crunch a little bit as you go through it. Fantastic. The pie crust, unfortunately, kind of completely lets it down. So overall, 7.5. The filling inside, super good. That's like a 8.5, 9. But the crust, I mean, it's just not a good crust in my opinion. But that's as good as I've been able to do yet with my experimentation. So it's about as good as, I mean, this as the recipes are gonna get. So, but overall, like a good 7.5 because it tastes fantastic. I mean, literally fantastic. So I'll have another bite because why not? I'll make y'all in the chat suffer because I can. I'm a jerk. Oh my god, I can't even get a bite. It's literally just falling apart. Mm. You throw a little vanilla ice cream in there, and you can barely even taste that the crust is a bit of a grittiness too. It basically just becomes, it starts to feel like you've got maybe a graham cracker crust underneath some vanilla ice cream and apples, and it all mixes together really well. But it's delicious. Okay, cool. So does anybody have any questions? Any comments, concerns? Did I completely screw something up? I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there more knowledgeable about apple pie than me are just cringing at something I've done wrong. So let me know, please. Nothing? No? All right. Well, I mean, if nobody has any questions, comments, or scandalous accusations at me, well, then I guess, does anybody have any announcements? Um, any kind of big news they'd like to share? Future plans that suddenly came together? That kind of stuff? Currently, I don't have a whole lot to share myself. I'm just, still COVID free technically, so I'll take it. That's my big news. All right. Well, boring as hell is good, honestly. It means nothing bad's happened. Oh no. Mary, do you need a cat around there? You already have chickens and ducks. Do you guys need a cat? All right. I won't argue with that. That seems to be excitement. Oh, okay, okay. That's fair. I mean, maybe you can convince Justice to litter train him for you before he gets them, before you take him off his hands. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that sounds about right for a feral pack of farm kittens. I mean, that's what the cat out at my family's farm is. Just picked out of a house one day and he came around. Just took him time. All right, cool. Okay, cool. All right, so any announcements, anything like that? I think that we're gonna have pretty standard announcements for us here. Basically, next Tuesday we'll have our sustainable kitchen stream. I believe that one's going to. My God, what does that one entail? Hold on a second. Let me go check the board. Yes, the pantry stream. Okay, so next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, we are going to be discussing the different, we're going to be talking about pantry items that are kind of staples or extremely useful in vegan and vegetarian kitchens. Things that may not be obvious at first, or maybe people just don't know where to look for these things, or, there's such things. Things that would help any person wanting to start doing, say, vegan cooking or vegetarian cooking, those kind of things. We'll be showing off Mary's pantry because she's the one who's really stocked up. We have a few things here at the ECM pantry that I don't think Mary has, so we'll also be going through this one. But yeah, we're just going to be basically trying to put together kind of a starter's guide to vegan cooking or vegetarian cooking. What, Mary? I wrote it here. Wow. We're going to be... I don't know how long ago you said that. I may have just gone through my whole spiel for nothing. Doesn't matter. But anyways, yeah. And then next week... excuse me, I'm sorry. Next Thursday, not next week. Oh, okay. That's fair, yeah. Of course it was when I walked out. Next Thursday, again, 6 o'clock. All our streams are always at 6 o'clock, so if you're wanting to catch us, 6 o'clock. Next Thursday, hopefully Mary will be back. Thank you, C. Barnes. Yeah, Mary should be back, and we'll be going back into our Caribbean cooking. So I'm very excited for that because I know Mary makes excellent food. I'm merely a sugar kind of person, So not nearly as good as her. But yeah, stop playing with knives. Yeah, so hopefully we'll have our number one host back then, so we can all look excited. We can all be excited for that. Other than that, I don't believe ECM has any other announcements currently. Nope, don't believe so. So yeah, I guess just on that note, I would hope that everyone's being safe. I hope that everyone's, wearing their mask. I know for those of you living in Kansas, it's kind of mandatory now. So please do wear your mask. It keeps other people safe. It's not specifically for you, although it does help keep you safe. It's more for the people who are immunocompromised and susceptible to getting COVID. It's for them, not for you. We're not trying to kill the people who are most susceptible to it. So please show a little compassion. I know a lot of people here in Manhattan are still fighting the whole mask rule, and it's just getting to be ridiculous. Well, Mary, I mean, I can always do more baking. We can always do, baking streams thrown in there. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so please just wear your mask and be safe. All right, cool. So. That was, I don't know what I did wrong there, but it'll work. All right. Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. Again, stay safe. Don't do anything too stupid. Nothing I would have done 5 years ago. But honestly, that's saying a lot. Or not enough, I should say. I would do anything 5 years ago. Anyway, be safe. Have a good weekend. I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.